Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing Devil May Cry 4 on Legendary Dark Knight mode. This is Wrapped in Glory. It's mission 10. So, at first, you can attack these three objects here and get some Devil Trigger and get some health. The chairs and the table right there yield nothing. So, for this fight here, you want to bypass that health and pick it up afterwards. I didn't have too much trouble on this level. So we're going to be in this octagonal cage here, and we will be fighting several Fausts and Mephistos. In Dante Must Die difficulty, there were 2 Mephistos and 1 Faust, but I think here the count is increased on both scores because I plainly recall having a couple of Fausts to fight here rather than just one. So you can completely manipulate the camera here and focus on doing the level 3 charge shot. And I believe it was in video 5 that I was mentioning about the snatch as opposed to the buster. You don't really get a reprieve on either score for the Fausts, but undeniably I will concede that doing an aerial buster on the Mephistos is a superior strategy as opposed to trying to snatch them out. However, it's up to you. Like, what do you prefer to do? On the one hand, if you do the snatch, you're going to be moving the camera against your will, and you'll be aiming on other enemies because you will be having to hold the right bumper, and that will turn the camera invariably on the enemies, and you'll have more on screen. So in this situation here, what I do is I'm doing the charge shot. I'm continually holding it. I'm trying to snatch them out of their cloaks, and taking care of the Fausts first because they're the main issue here. Initially, I'm saying I know the Faust is more deadly, but the easiest guys to get and kill very quickly are the Mephistos, and then you could figure out what you want to do with the Fausts. So a little bit of warning here: if they drop from their cloak outside the cage, it's as though you didn't get the kill. You didn't get that, because what happens is they'll just go back into their cloak. It's the game compensating for the fact that there's no place for them to land and actually come back to you quickly. These laser beams I detest fervently. When you get in here, you're going to activate this switch and then come back, and then hit the switch, and then it's hard. I don't think I've ever been able to just go through them without getting damaged. And then here you just want to drop down, and we're making our way out. We're going backwards. So no need to interact with the switch because that controls the elevator, but we do want this cache of orbs. And I like this chapter. We'll be with Nero for this chapter and the next chapter, and then it will be Dante up until chapter 18. Then we'll regain control of Nero. Now when you come in this room, it's a familiar haunt. We've already been down here. However, now we can utilize this, and you can really start to have fun here because with so many enemies, you could actually see everything a little bit more clearly because time is slowed down, and you get a chance to observe the majesty of a situation like this. You've got the Gradiuses floating in the air, like swimming in the air in a sea of blades, and you've got these guys down here. I wouldn't look down upon people if they wanted to use this strategy here, particularly because I'm the one prescribing the strategy here. But there's no shame in using things in the environment because the game makers probably wanted you to do this. And I'm sorry, my mouth is a little dry. I'm thirsty, and there's not a glass at hand, which is just a classic situation in my residence. Just utterly classic. Whenever something is wanted, it's not available. And whenever something is not wanted and you notice it, it's available at hand. So it's one of those ironies that never ceases to irritate the shit out of me. So you can get a lot of style points from getting all these kills. Sometimes you'll have enemies running into the laser beams and actually killing themselves. On Dante Must Die difficulty, there are no gradiuses here. There's just the angels, and a lot of them you can actually bait them by standing in front of the lasers, and they will charge you and kill themselves. So you notice that when the blades are trying to attack you, they turn colors and they kind of pause. That's your cue to get out of the way and or grab them very quickly before they can actually stab you. So I can't stress how good the charge shot level 3 is on these guys. You let loose with it in the air and it just decimates half a dozen enemies right away. So this guy here, you can't really throw him into anything when he's the last guy, so just grab him on the ground and then take care of him, or just continually hit him. So I'm actually looking forward to Dante because thus far I have not been challenged, and it's regrettable. But I don't regret my campaign thus far because just playing this game is very rewarding. And we will be facing Dante as a boss. So the thing to know about Dante, if I can speak real quickly about it, is that he will utilize his 4 styles while you're playing against him. You want to watch out for the Royal Guard because you always want to be aware that when he's doing that, he is most susceptible to being bustered, that is grabbed, because he's in a defensive stance and he's poised, waiting for your attack. So what you want to do is buster him as best you can, double trigger buster him, more importantly. And he will also use his various guns when he's in gunslinger mode. He'll use the Pandora. On this here, I would not recommend double jumping, just a single jumps. You can actually move and control where you want to land by moving the character in air. It works very well. No complaints from me. This particular section here, if you slow down time and then drop down here, when you spawn after that cutscene, the time won't be slowed down, so it's kind of pointless to do that. And I came across this fight for the first time, and you know, a lot of these fights, when I come to them, it is coming to them for the first time because, quite honestly, it's hard to die, because I'm used to taking a lot of damage on this game when I was playing DMD mode, but on this mode it's a lot more lax, a lot more lenient, and you can take many more hits than you can on Dante Must Die difficulty. And instead of having it aggravate me, I'm just going to embrace it for the time being, because I know a lot of people are interested in this difficulty mode, and you know, if you're interested, I'm interested. I mean, I was interested even when no one was interested. So kind of an awkward situation down here. We've got aerial enemies and ground-based enemies. The latter are extremely weak, and they're not really a threat at any time in this game. I kind of question their existence, to be honest. I mean, the puppets in DMC1, they were pretty innocuous too, and they could be killed very quickly. But they had a lot of blocking stances, and they hit pretty hard too. And then when they double triggered, they were a threat to be reckoned with. But in this game, even double triggered scarecrow arms and legs are something to be laughed at, not feared like the puppets. So I mean, on the one hand, we've got this very casual, innocuous enemy on the ground, and then we've got some Mephistos, which do not engender any fear within me. It's just the Fausts that do cause me to be fearful. So if I were you, what I would do here is build up your exceed and do the exceed streak on the puppets as fast as you can, and also you want to marry that strategy with the strategy of the charge shots, getting enemies in clusters. If you have to, pull enemies towards you and kind of get them in a group, try to line them up. I mean, it's not very viable of a strategy once we've got the Faust in the picture, but I don't think he has been spawned the entire time. I think he comes on a time-based scenario. So what's happening is when you drop down here, the Faust isn't here, but after so much time elapses, probably 60 seconds, he spawns in, unless he was hovering somewhere beyond where I had the camera positioned, which is likely. So I honestly thought down here that there would be about 5 Fausts and 10 Mephistos. So, you know, maybe they're saving the hardest for last, and it really will be hard because with Dante, he doesn't have the crowd controlling. His stinger doesn't do crowd control management, so it's going to be tough. And at this point, I am fervently against using items because I don't think items are going to make me a better player. So, as of now, I'm saying no items, and I'm going to be sticking with that. No item usage whatsoever. Because I just think it's going to make these situations even easier. And to be honest, I just have not been struggling whatsoever. Now, when I was playing Dante Must Die difficulty, you bet your ass I was struggling a lot. Even coming from DMC3, which is, in my opinion, the hardest game, one of the hardest games ever made. I would say Vanquish is harder, because on Godhard on Vanquish, it's essentially a no upgrade run. But even so, there are only select parts on Vanquish that are difficult. Now this part here, I had to do a little bit of editing. This fight here, you can unspawn it by leaving this area and then coming back in through the door. You'll unspawn these guys. However, it's only 2 enemies with another spawn of 2, so a total of 4, and it's not that bad. I mean, this is a huge room here. They could have put a lot more than what they do. So in respect to this situation, they have not altered the spawn whatsoever. They've kept it alone. So about Dante, what I basically do, good combos to use on him include the YYY pause Y attack, which is a quick few slashes followed by a pause and then a fierce attack. And then another good combo that I went over with in my DMD guide was the YY pause Y attack. It's very good. Now, there's an edit right there because I was charging my gun. I thought there would be a fight in there. These are breakable objects. And then we will be fighting Dante after one more fight with some scarecrows and mega scarecrows. But let me see about that. That might be blades. Okay. I can't remember the names of those fire dogs. I did know it, but now I don't know it. So I would say use the dogs as ammunition against the knights. Pretty simple stuff. But if you're wondering how you're supposed to know when Dante switches his styles, he will verbally say it, and it's randomized. You don't know what he's going to be doing at any given time, so it makes the fight a little bit more challenging in that respect. But he's just as susceptible to being grabbed as he was in the first video. It's just that in this situation, he's a lot more aggressive. He counterattacks. I don't think he counterattacked in video 1. I think it was a pretty straightforward fight. But you will see yourself getting counterattacked from time to time when you do aerial busters. So what you've got to do is keep the lock-on so that you can evade properly and jump through his attacks when possible. When he's in trickster mode, he's going to be a lot more evasive, using his maneuverability more. In Swordmaster, he's going to be using things like the prop shredder and various other things that he has while doing that. The stinger, the drive. With the gunslinger, he's going to be using his guns. He's going to be detonating the Lucifer and using the Pandora quite a lot. So he also, I believe, changes colors somewhat. The aura around him, I believe it changes colors. So it's a very intimidating fight. So here he's in gunslinger mode, or Swordmaster. I think he went to Swordmaster right away. The streak is not very useful on him, and in fact I might even go as far as to say it's pretty useless, because he can easily avoid it and counterattack you. So if you don't want to get close to him and you want to grab him, you want to do the snatch then. So you can stand on the pavilion in the middle of the screen, and you will see me quite a bit use the streak, but it's just out of a tenacity of trying to get over close to him. So you always want to be using the charge level 3 shot at all times. And just you've got to. Okay, so there's a counterattack. I was trying to buster him, and it might be dependent on what style he's in that he's more. Like in the Royal Guard, he won't bust, he won't cancel, he won't counterattack you. So, like, the safest strategy really is to stand on that pavilion up there and just kind of wait till he comes up, and then jump and grab him. I mean, that's how I deal the most damage to this guy. Other people might play it a little bit differently. See, I'm jumping, he knocked me off. The Exceed works wonders here as far as having your attacks actually damage him sufficiently. Okay, so as you can see, did you see how he was stunned right there, and then I followed that up with the launch, and then I got the grab. So that is probably one of the best things you could do on this guy. Approach him, kind of stun test him by hitting. If you're hitting, finish up with your combo, Y, pause, Y, and then launch him, and then even go into double trigger mode after that, and then throw him. Okay, so we threw him right there. Try to follow it up with a launch. He's going into, I think he's in now he's in Swordmaster. We're grabbing him. Very susceptible to grabs, and this was a fight that I could never do without using items, and now I can start using it. I believe he's in Royal Guard. Is he? Just know that the best time, like I mentioned, is the Royal Guard to buster him, and it's the least risky too. So you will know if you're not getting, when you're trying to stun test, if he counters, just back off. And double trigger canceling is crucial here, because he does a lot of combos that you just cannot get out of unless you DT cancel. So there is a streak, but the streak took that time because I was in Exceed. That was an X streak, so it was more powerful. And I'm not sure, maybe he didn't go. That's definitely the Swordmaster, because he's using his aerial B button attack. And now he's pushing me away with the guns, and we're just keep hitting him. It's not that bad of a fight. It's just it's very intimidating, to be brutally honest about it. And then, like I mentioned, will be one more chapter with this character, and then will be Dante. So thanks for watching. Take care.